All right, so now we're going to move on and look at symbolizing different types of rasters. So we'll look at the three broad categories. We have our continuous single band type raster. So here we have a elevation model, digital elevation model. We have our categorical rasters. So I'm going to pull in this in LCD layer. Again, it's got to reproject it. Okay, and then we'll have a multi-band image. So this is a Landsat image. All right, so we'll go back to our continuous raster. So first off, we're going to go to its properties, and we can change, obviously, some settings in here. So by default, it came in as a single band gray. So it's basically showing the values as black is the lowest and white is the highest. You can see some other options here. So we have multi-band color, palette unique values, single band pseudo color, and then we have a hill shade option. So just to show, for example, we can switch this to white to black, and that's going to invert the color ramp so that the high elevations are black and the low elevations are white, which I think doesn't really make sense, so we'll switch it back. You can also change the range and then apply different stretches to potentially enhance the values or make things a little more obvious. Okay, there's also, you can set brightness and saturation options. You can apply a transparency. Again, lots of options. Here's the transparency options. So right now it's 100%. If we pulled this down, then we can make it, partially transparent. Okay, so let me show you another option. So let's say instead of using like a black to white, we wanted to use a different color ramp. So to do that, we can change it to single band pseudo, and then we can apply a ramp. So there's a bunch of built-in ramps. You can do if you go to all color ramps, it'll list the ones that are available. Some of these are like from Color Brewer, for example, if you're familiar with that. So I'm just going to go to all color ramps and just find a different one. I don't know, let's do this yellow to brown ramp. If you want to apply like a classification, you can. Here it's set to continuous, so it's like a continuous ramp. We could do like a quantile. And here's 5 categories. Let's just bump it up to 7. And we'll do an apply. So now we have a pseudo color with 7 categories. All right. So those are basically your two main options for symbolizing a continuous raster. So grayscale, or you can do a pseudo color and apply a color ramp to it. All right. So that's that. Let's okay there. I'm going to turn this off. Now we're going to go into our land cover data set. So I'm going to open this. So this came in odd. I mean, this isn't how you would expect a land cover map to look. You'd expect to have like a color assigned to each like unique value or category. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So I'm going to go into properties again for this layer, which and then you can see it came in here as gray, a single band gray, which again doesn't really make a lot of sense. So what we're going to do is change this to a paletted unique values type classification. And then I'm going to click classify here, and that should read in all of the unique values that are available. Okay, so now we are applying a color to each of these. So that looks more like what you would expect for a categorical grid, so unordered colors. But it would probably maybe want to assign our own color. So to do that, you just click on it, change color, and then you can pick a different color. I'm going to go to, let's see here. Yeah, I'm just going to, let's see. Yeah, we'll use this. So I'm going to pick like a blue color for this. This is actually water, so we do like a light blue color. And that changes it. 20 is for development, so for that we'll do like maybe like a red. So we'll do a light reddish color, something like that. This is barren, so we'll do like a gray color. Let's see here. There we go, we'll do that, gray. 40 are the forest types. So let's grab our forest. Maybe something like, that's a little dark. How about, there we go, we'll just do that. There's forest. 50, I believe, is shrub. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's what it is. So maybe we'll do like an orange for that. Well, it's like a brown. And then we've got like our grass. Make that like a, oh, that did not change. We'll do like a yellow base, and then maybe make it like, okay. And then this is like your pasture cropland. So we'll make that like an orange color. And then your 90s are your wetland types. Maybe like a purple color for that. All right, so that looks pretty good. And then you can also change the labels. I'm not going to go through and do all of these, but you could change the label that'll show up over here. Yeah, so on and so forth. So let's have a look. So that looks more like what you would expect to see from like a land cover data set. Again, assigning your unique color codes to each of the categories. All right, so I wanted to spend a little bit more time discussing how to symbolize multi-band images, and specifically looking at how you could try to enhance them a bit based on how it's stretching or visualizing the radiometric values. All right, so I'm going to add an image. This is again in the Black Hills of South Dakota. It comes in looking kind of odd. The reason is that it's using a weird band combination. So red is being assigned to the blue, green to green, and blue to red. So if we wanted like a standard, like a true color composite, we would have to swap out these two. So 3, 2, 1 as opposed to 1, 2, 3. And that looks more like what you would expect. Note that the stretch is odd, like it's not doing a great job just making the image look pretty. So in order to try to improve that, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to go back to the properties, and we're going to fiddle around with this contrast enhancement. So by default, it does a stretched min to max. So basically stretches like from complete dark to complete bright for each band from the min and max value. And then there's some options. By default, it's going to do it for the whole raster, which can sometimes make the image weird looking, especially if it's thinking some of the margin values are real measurements. So let's get out of here real quick. So in this image, there's a lot of this black space here, and that's kind of screwing up the display. So what we're going to do is zoom in to an area that doesn't include any of the margins. And I'm going to go into properties again, and then in this min-max setting, I'm going to change this to the current, we'll just do updated canvas is going to update it as you move. I'm going to do current canvas, and we'll do an apply. And then, yeah, that should work. And then, yeah, we don't really need to do anything else. Okay, and I'm going to hit OK. So now this looks a lot cleaner. We can, it looks, like you'd expect a true color image to look. Again, this is a burn scar, and that's kind of obvious. So anyway, that's one way you can do it. Pick an area that, doesn't include the margins, and then just have it calculate the distribution over that area. And then again, let's look at some band combinations with this. Oop, wrong. There we go. So properties, so let's swap this out. Let's do a standard false color, so 4, 3, 2. And again, we'll have it recalculated. I'm not sure if it updates. Okay. Zoom out a little bit, maybe to there. And then I'm going to do that again, have it update the statistics for that current extent. And we'll do apply. Yeah, that looks good. And then, okay, so now we have this, which I think looks pretty clean. Again, that burn scar is really obvious there in the false color. So I think that's a decent looking representation in terms of using your like dynamic range. All right, and then lastly, let's look at another common composite. So we'll use the red to show the shortwave infrared. We'll use the green to show the red, near infrared. And then in the blue, we'll show the green band. So this is a common composite for the Landsat. Okay. Again, that really highlights that burn scar there in the image. And you're seeing a nice differentiation of the landscape surface. Okay, so if you are reading in images and it's not looking great, one thing you can do is change the band combinations. Another thing you could do is mess around with the histogram adjustments to try to make it look better and more contrasted, or maybe less contrasted.